And Lake Lewis Jr., host of the Lake Lewis Jr. Show on YouTube, CBS 6, Washington Commanders insider, our Raisin Hail Commanders insider as well. Good morning, Lake. How are you doing on this Tuesday?
I'm good, and I'm, a couple hours from being on a plane heading over to Spain. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
I hope you have good travel experiences with some stuff happening. That seems to be a big point of conversation right now. But another big point of conversation, and I'm going to bury the lead here a little bit. We'll get to Dan Quinn, the news that came out of the Monday press conference here in a little bit. I first want to start with Nick Sirianni last night, another NFC East team.
Yeah.
He goes for it late. Alan and I were talking pre-show, and we both, initially, my gut reaction, Nick Sirianni goes for it on fourth down late in the game.
Yeah.
This is after the Josh Jacobs fumble. They stuffed him on the inside zone run that apparently they knew.
Yeah.
And he gives the Packers some hope here. What were your thoughts on Nick Sirianni going for it in that situation?
I thought it was gutsy. That wasn't the Z I was getting ready to come up with. But, yeah, it was gutsy, and you could lose a game like that. You really could, especially a tough game like that, hard-fought defensive struggle. I was surprised because I thought the Eagles' defense had played so well, throughout the game, that maybe you just put the ball in the hands of your defense to bring it home for you. So I don't have a problem when coaches do that. I'd rather you show me confidence that you believe that I can do it, as opposed to just wave the flag and say, "Nah, I don't think we can get that yard or whatever."
Yeah, it was very interesting. I'm a big analytics guy, and there's a fourth down bot which runs all the scenarios, win probability. And that play itself had a toss-up where the recommendation was go for it, but it only increased the win probability by 0.2%. And now I'm getting real in the weeds here.
So let me guess, you would have punted.
So but that's the interesting thing. When I was watching it, I didn't put it together that they were on the 35. Yeah. So they probably would not have punted it. They would have tried to kick the field goal.
Right.
And in that case, I'm for going for it because
I don't think it was any. Honestly, I didn't see it as a choice. Because
the play call is what I have an issue with.
Yeah, because even if you kick the field goal, okay, they still have an opportunity to win the game.
Yes.
So I understand why you do it, but you got to get it when you do it.
Yeah. Like that was the part where it was like, okay, maybe if you punt and pin them, then you can force them to drive the length of the field. But then you're playing a real tough game where do you trust your punter to pin it? Do you trust your field goal kicker who's been a little up and down? Because if you don't get it, then they're here. And
they're a couple first downs away from being
especially
able
in today's NFL where you can nail it
guys,
for 60.
The punter was shanking them all night. That would have been easy for him to pin.
No, that would have been the one time
That's a good point.
He laces it down the field. That's the one time.
And I think they probably took that into consideration for sure.
Because that is the scenario where if you get the first down, it's 100% win probability.
Oh,
and
you
take
win the
it.
game.
So
of course. Yeah.
That's just been a hot topic thing. But the Packers, man. The Packers have been head scratch. I ranted about it way too long, like 10 minutes to open the show. They've burned me. They've burned me. I'm upset.
You remember the conversation we had months ago sitting right
here?
Yeah,
probably. We were both praising them, or I was praising them?
You were, and I was saying, let's not take this win. It was after the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And Washington looked as bad as they've looked worse than that since. But they looked so dreadful in that game. I kept saying, listen, I understand Parsons is there, and he's kind of was on the pitch count even in that game. But I was just like, the Packers, let's not coronate them yet. They still have some work to do, and you've seen now that they might be the third best team in their division. Yeah. And I know that sounds. I don't think Chicago's there yet. But they're winning games. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
Chicago's winning. Packers are losing.
And Detroit is Detroit.
And Detroit is Detroit. And the Vikings have J.J. McCarthy, and jury's still out on him.
Yeah.
It's all, there's a real shot now with how the NFC West is playing, how the rest of the NFC just in general is playing, that the Packers could find themselves on the outside looking in at the playoff picture. Now,
truly,
it would have to be a pretty massive meltdown. But in that case, Matt LaFleur might be a little bit on the hot seat, although the Packers are an organization that move very slowly at a glacier pace.
Yeah.
And it's proven to be worthwhile for them as they're one of the more successful franchises. But we just saw the Giants fire their head coach. That is a very reactionary team.
I was surprised by that.
I was going to say, what are you more surprised at? Daboll being fired or Joe Shane retaining his job as GM?
Both. Because I thought that they were a package deal. I did. And for me, I thought, look at the injuries that the Giants have had and, playing a rookie quarterback as well. And they have been competitive. They probably should have won their last 2 games. They've had meltdowns in the fourth, and that's probably what got Daboll fired. But my thing is, when you look at a team, I always looked at have they quit on their coach. And the Giants clearly did not quit on him at all. They were actually, like I said, they should have beat certain teams. They should have beat Denver. They should have won this past weekend as well. So it was the easy way out to say, you know what, there's another coach. They probably have their eye on someone already, and it's not their interim coach. It's not Kafka, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
They probably have their eye on someone that they feel like, this is the time to start putting that feeler out there.
I've heard some interesting names floated around this job. Bill O'Brien's one, the Boston College head coach, former Texans. Ian Rappaport was reporting Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, Antonio Pierce is a guy that I know the Maras love up there, and the fan base loves him. I mean, he's a champion, Super Bowl champion up there. And I kind of feel like he got a raw deal. And
he got a tough deal with the Raiders,
he did. They didn't give him enough time. So he's a guy that I could see that, let's be honest, where's all their money in their football team? It's in their defense, and their defense has been a huge disappointment. So if anything, Antonio Pierce, a defensive guy, will come in there and kind of light a fire under that defense.
Yeah, that defense, such a disappointment. Carl Banks, their color analyst on their radio broadcast, is saying, Dexter Lawrence, you aren't trying hard enough, and that's a whole deal. But speaking of not trying hard enough, you could say Commanders' defense are trying really hard, and it's still not working. And so Dan Quinn yesterday at the Monday press conference, he wastes no time. Within the first 30 seconds, he gets out in front of it, and he says, we've made the decision. I am taking over play calling duties for the defense. He said, Joe Witt, he's my guy. He's been my right-hand man. He took it professionally, and we understand that something's got to change. We've got to come together and figure this out.
Right.
Not shocking. Maybe shocking that the move was actually made, but from fans, from media, it felt like this was a move that everyone was saying, this needs to be done.
100%. It needed to be done weeks ago. And I've been calling for it. I've sat right here and said it. This guy's not getting it done. I understand the thing that you have to love about Dan Quinn is that he's a loyalist. He's one of those guys that will ride for his guys.
Yeah.
And he's also big on, helping minority coaches. I mean, that's his thing. And, so he didn't want to throw Joe Witt under the bus because this could have been career suicide for Joe Witt if they fired him. You and I both know that he basically was fired, demoted, if you want to call it that, because he's not calling the plays. Dan's calling the plays, but this is a chance for Dan to try to help Joe Witt too. And as I've been telling people, they weren't going to fire him during the season. I can assure you that. But if you go back and you look at Dan Quinn's history, everywhere he's been, his defensive coordinator was fired after year number 2. So is he trying to change the trend and not fire his guy, but help him become a better coach? We'll find out. But the big picture, obviously, is him calling the plays. It can't get any worse. It just can't. So it can only go up. And you hope with him, obviously, he's a defensive guru. This is what he's known as. Everywhere he's been, he's had success with his defenses, but that was with him calling the shots. So hopefully he can get some of these guys in position because we know far too often, me being at the games at the stadium, it's almost like there's no defender within 15 yards. And I'm talking about of a number one option on an offense. There's still 15, yards between them and the next defender. If you're watching on television, you probably don't see a defender in the screen. It's that bad.
Yeah, it's been a little rough. And we were talking about it yesterday with Dan Quinn wins the Super Bowl with Seattle as the DC. Dallas had one of the best defensive units, very opportunistic, turnover-centric, but still one of the top defensive units during his time in Dallas.
Yeah.
He's left, and they've cratered. Now, injuries, all of that, but he has a great track record.
Absolutely.
Like when he was there, And so that was so head scratching to me that it seemed that he was kind of letting Joe Witt figure it out.
He was.
And wasn't, and maybe this is a good thing, it's a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. Maybe wasn't even offering help in terms of like, hey, we're going to sit down and we're going to put this game plan together. Like, I'm going to. It seemed that he was like, all right, Joe, this is your thing. I'm going to let you figure this out. And then when Joe couldn't piece it together, then Dan said, all right, I'm going to step in, take this over. And Joe, now we can kind of try and do something where you see how I figure this out, and then we can go from there. Do you think Dan Campbell making the offensive coordinator switch across the sideline on Sunday played any part in him deciding to make this move now?
I think it's a combination of several things. I think one of the first things is he's probably tired of us asking him the same question every week.
Right when I took a sip of my coffee, you hit me with that one. I almost spit that one out. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's probably tired of us. So you guys going to ask me this again? Yeah, we are, because something needs to be done. And then I also, like I said, he's loyal to his guy, so he probably just he wrote it out to see could it get better. But for 4 straight games, I mean, I think I saw a statistic the other day that said this is the first time since like 1973 that a team has lost 4 consecutive games by 20 or more points. That's surprising. I thought that was done a lot, but obviously it's not.
Yeah, because that's a lot of games by a lot of points. 2 of those being at home also hurts the fan base.
There's been some bad football teams, bad defenses. None of them have ever done this. So this is a historically bad defense. Can't have that when your coach is supposed to be a defensive guru. I mean, so it's, to me, I think he did the right thing, but I wish he had done this several weeks ago, because now your it's over. Let's just call it like it is. Everyone's saying, no, they still have hope and Jaden can come back and Terry can come back. Stop it. This season is kaput. So if you even play Jaden or you play Terry, hopefully that's to build some positive momentum going into next year, but it's not going to happen this year.
And we've been talking, it feels like the last couple of weeks, about this stretch that they just got through was so difficult. And then they go to Madrid, then it's a bye week. And we're like, all right, if they can kind of struggle their way through, maybe pick up a win, steal a win here or there, maybe they can set themselves up for the playoffs afterwards. They didn't do that. And, oh, by the way, Lake, the Dolphins are coming off of a 30-13 win over Buffalo Bills.
Right.
And now we're going to Madrid, Spain, and it feels like Miami, granted, NFL's a week-to-week league. Who knows what happens, but feels like Miami firing Chris Greer, they get a GM bump, and they look good.
And the last 3 games for them, I mean, they lost one. They won. I think they won 2 out of their last 3, but they lost one that they probably could have won. So they clearly feel better about themselves. I said this Sunday night. Can you tell me that Washington's going to beat the Dolphins? That was the one game that you thought, okay, if they're going to get a win, it's coming in Madrid.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either. And I hate to say it. People say, how can you say that? You cover them. Well, I can't be biased. I have to be honest. I'm league media, but no. I mean, the Dolphins feel better. It's going to be raining. I mean, hopefully it's not raining Sunday, but it's supposed to rain the whole week. Wow, what a trip.
That is such a bummer.
Yeah, it really is, and you think of everything that's going on right now. What area of the football team can you literally lay your hat on and say, I feel good about them going over there? No, you can't. It's been so bad. It's been a train wreck in every facet.
Gibbs had, 8.5 yards per carry or something insane?
I thought it was more than that. But yeah,
it might be. And then, by the way, Devon Achane is probably the best running back that you haven't heard of.
You're gonna hear about him come Sunday.
Unless you're like a hardo NFL fan. You don't care.
He's really good.
He's really fast.
He's really fast.
That's what the Commanders have struggled with is the speed. And he just ran all over the Buffalo Bills defense. Oh, Commanders, I'm going to assume a new defensive strategy, at least a little bit. How are you going to stop that Dolphins attack, which is also
you pick your poison. Good. Yeah, you pick your poison, and then you think with Tua and and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. And they haven't been able to stop a number one wide receiver, and he's very good.
And your number one corner just broke his fibula. So, Trey Amos was their number one corner, in my opinion. So now he's out, and you're going to have a combination of, you're probably going to have to bring up Carlin Vickers off the practice squad, for God's sakes. I mean, this is, it's bad.
Yeah. When it rains, it pours, right? Mm-hmm. And like the injuries feels like one injury leads into another injury leads into another injury. Mm-hmm. Is this just a weird how it happens type of thing?
It is. It's one of those seasons that, for fans out there that don't understand, when you lose frontline players and you lose them at an epic rate, it's going to derail a lot. I mean, you can't recover from this stuff because you're playing against professionals, too, that get paid, and they're going to exploit your weaknesses. And now, each game it's becoming 2 to 3 more players, so just added to the scrap heap. That's literally what it is. So I ask fans out there, you have to understand, every now and then you'll have a season that either is miraculous, which we witnessed last year, and then you have another season where you just have injury bugs that you can't escape. And all you have to do is go back to Detroit last year.
San Fran
last year. Even the year before that, there was I want to say, was it the Eagles? It was a team that
Ravens got hit a couple years ago. But yeah, there's always good
teams that become average teams, and sometimes you might have a team that exceeded expectations one year, and then the next year they don't have their full arsenal. And everyone knew Washington was going to try to run this thing back, in year 2. But year 2, you had to keep your fingers crossed that all those veterans that carried you that first year weren't going to get injured. Normally, that's not the case. You're going to get these injuries, and this is exactly what's happened.
And I think something that worries fans a lot here is the Ravens, the 49ers, the Lions. They had proven we are a good team year in and year out. We're going to get hit with injuries. We'll be down a little bit this year, but we are, at our core nucleus, a good team.
Yes.
For the Commanders, it's miracle to bad because of injuries. Mm-hmm. You don't have the saving grace to be like, next year we'll be back to where we are. Yeah. You have Jaden Daniels, but outside of that, you're like, well, how good is Terry now that he's over the hill of 30 years old? Mm-hmm. And so it's a little worrisome. And, oh, by the way, you're racking up injuries. You're racking up suspensions with Deron Payne hitting Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Get him out of there.
And that's like all of a sudden you're down a defensive tackle, not for an injury, but because he couldn't keep his cool early on in a football game.
Yeah,
which was insane to watch.
It was the dumbest thing, and I'll say it, and I'm going to stand by it, and I got to show my face, and I'll be proud to do it. Deron Payne was not worthy of being a captain this past game, and Dan Quinn and the team named him a captain, and I know they did it because of the crap that he did last week, when Bobby had to try to pump him up to come and, play football. You can't reward that with being a captain. And then what does he do when you reward him being a captain? He goes out and does the dumbest thing, ever. You punch the guy. And I know I'm wrong. St. Brown gets under people's skin. He's a chatterbox.
That's the point of football sometimes.
It is, and it worked. He baited you into doing something stupid that not only cost your team on Sunday, but it's going to cost your team in Spain. And he can't even go.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe he felt like he didn't want to travel over there. Let me get this guy. Let me punch this guy so I don't have to travel to Spain. But it was just it's not a good look for one of your best players. And Deron's having a good year. He really is. But I've always said this. I didn't think Deron comes back next year. And I think this is the kind of stuff that kind of, proves that point. Yeah.
And so I like having you in here like every Tuesday, using you as a sounding board for some of my takes. Because yesterday, throughout the take, and it was a little hot takey, maybe not, where I put the top 4 teams, the top tier in the NFC.
Okay.
Because I want to transition over to that here. The Lions, 44-22 win. I put them in the upper tier.
Yeah.
I put the Seahawks in the upper tier of the NFC with a 44-22 win over the Cardinals.
Yeah.
and I put the Rams, and then I threw the Eagles in.
You can't just throw the Eagles in. They're the Super Bowl champions, man, and they're going to play to their competition. They're still the best team in the NFC. I truly believe that.
So I put those 4 in the upper tier.
That's good.
Do you think one of those 4 will be in the Super Bowl? Do you think that is the kind of upper crest of the NFC?
I think you have a 25% chance for each team. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do. I think the Super Bowl representative for the NFC could be one of those teams. But I don't discount Tampa. I just don't.
Okay.
I still think that Tampa-Seattle game a couple weeks back was epic.
Yeah.
And it showed me that these two teams can go with people. Tampa's had the injury bug, and they're getting guys back now. So I think the NFC is wide open. But for my money, when it's all said and done, unless Philadelphia has to travel on the road, I don't see anyone going into Philadelphia. The only team that I think is capable of going into Philadelphia literally and beating them is the Rams, because I think they should have done it last year. Exactly.
Yeah, the Rams are sneaky.
And they should have done it again this year. You know, they had them on the ropes too. And
had a 20-point lead or something?
And then collapsed, exactly. So I think the Rams, Matt Stafford, he's a Hall of Famer. I think that they're equipped. I think all these teams are, but I don't know if the moment would be too big for, Seattle just because of the great season they're having. It could be similar to Washington last year, where you get in that game and it's like, whoa, we're in the NFC Championship game. They're good enough. Their coach is great. I like McDonald. And I also think that, they have the type of defense that you're going to need to beat an Eagles, to beat a Rams. So, yeah, to answer your question, I could see all 4 of those teams having a shot. But I think when it's all said and done, I seriously think it comes down to Detroit, and I think it comes down to Philadelphia.
Yeah, the guys that have been there before, they know what it takes. And on the AFC side, it kind of is funny because it feels like, despite them not being first in the AFC West, feels like the Chiefs are just there. And
the Ravens.
That's very true. It's funny. The two teams that we always talk about every year as the cream of the crop in the AFC, it's like they started off horribly. They really dug themselves a hole. And the AFC North, all of a sudden you got the Ravens, a game back on the Steelers. The Steelers have...
That's a done deal.
It's over.
They're winning that division.
I thought the betting markets were crazy, like in week 5 when the Ravens were like 1-4. The Steelers were 4-1, and the Steelers were like plus 300 to win the AFC North. And
they hadn't played.
But they hadn't played, and now they're starting to play. They still got the Ravens twice later on this year.
And that's how it was last year, remember, when Baltimore... they got it together, and then they went past, I think it was Pittsburgh who jumped out the gate. Listen, I'm telling you right now, we said this sitting here a couple weeks ago when everyone was kicking Kansas City and kicking Baltimore, like, oh, they're done, and, they're talking trash about Mahomes and Lamar, and I'm like, you know what? I can assure you right now, no team wants these guys to recover. They're hoping that this is a collapse for them, because if you're Buffalo at the time, they'd come out the gates flying. Yeah. And everyone was coordinating Buffalo, and I'm like, Buffalo does not want to see Kansas City or Baltimore in the playoffs. And now it's holding true. No one wants to see those two teams. They hope that they pluck each other off if they get in. One of those teams is going to the Super Bowl in the AFC. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
I like that because I agree.
Yeah.
And which team did you just mention? The Bills. What a weird team. Losses to the Falcons, the Dolphins. They're a weird team because a couple of years ago they were a pass-first team that could not run the ball. Now they're a run-first team that can't pass the ball when the rushing attack doesn't work. James Cook is a little banged up.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you have the Bills who got out the gates super fast, who look like world beaters. Where'd they go? Where Josh Allen is looking, turnovers, all of that.
Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator there. I'm telling you, what's going on is that they're expecting for Josh to have an S on his, on his chest every game. It's similar to what Washington experienced last year. Jaden Daniels carried that team. He truly did. And this year, with the injuries and people are still looking for him to carry them, and it's like, no, he needs some help. And You can clearly see that in Buffalo. Now, I love James Cook, and when they make a concerted effort to just stick with the run and maybe sprinkle in Kincaid, at tight end every now and then, it works for them. But when you get to a game where you're going to need points, you can see that they struggle offensively to get points unless Buffalo jumps out in front of you. They're not a come-from-behind football team. They're just not.
They kind of remind me, in a weird way, the Green Bay Packers, because neither team has
that's a great point right
true
there.
Dude, right? They both got quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen much better than Jordan Love. Mm-hmm. Both got quarterbacks. But then when your running game isn't going and you're like, all right, we need to go to a guy. Mm-hmm. Khalil Shakur is the guy for Buffalo. That's
not your guy.
No. And then Romeo Doubs is kind of your guy. Also, Christian Watson is kind of your guy, and Matthew Golden is.
They don't have a number one. They just don't. And neither team. Keon Coleman was supposed to be that guy in Buffalo, and it hasn't worked out. At least not yet. He's still young in his second year, but. Yeah, you think of what's going on in New England right now. You don't think they missed that guy, Stephon Diggs? Yeah,
he's pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Stephon Diggs also, he gets talked about as a locker room cancer, all of the bad things around him. Everywhere he has gone, he has made a young QB.
Yeah,
he's also made a young QB take that next step into their career. Josh Allen was. Flailing in Buffalo.
He was, and they wanted him out. Some people didn't want him in Buffalo.
And Stephon Diggs comes in, and all of a sudden, Josh Allen becomes an MVP caliber player.
Sure was.
Goes to Houston, and when he was in there, C.J. Stroud was playing really, really well.
Football. He was.
Then Stephon, I think, tore his ACL, and he misses the rest of the year. Now he goes to New England, and Drake May is looking like an MVP. He is the favorite to win MVP right now.
It hurts me to even say that because I already know if he wins it. Oh my goodness,
it's going to be a long offseason.
Oh my goodness,
it'll be
there's going to be a lot of people questioning things.
People forget the year 2024 in an instant. Just as
had a Rookie of the Year campaign, and this guy had an MVP candidate, and everyone and their mother pretty much knew that those were the two best prospects coming out. Sorry, Caleb. That's just the way it was. Poles in Chicago had already made his mind up that he was, not even thinking about anything else but Caleb Williams. And it looks like it's working for them right now. But Drake May looks, who he looks like to me? Even when I see him at the podium, he looks like Tom Brady to me. He looks like a bigger, stronger version of Tom Brady. And oh, my gosh. The Patriots are set up, man. Vrabel, shame on you if you're a Tennessee Titans owner. You shame on you because that was the one thing you had going that was good was him.
They went 13-3 that one year with Ryan Tannehill as QB.
And you get rid of him. You have one or two bad years. The guy he would have had the number one pick. He would have had Cam Ward.
There was... The GM, I'm going to say this.
That's why they're the Titans. I'm just saying.
You're right. The GM got in the owner's ear and was like, we need to get rid of it. There was that power struggle. Mm-hmm. Owner ends up choosing the GM idiotically.
Yeah.
She fires Vrabel, and then 4 months later fires the GM.
And now
that's
you're
bad
stuck
business.
At square one. And if you're a coach, you have to, if you're a prospect, that may be getting your first head coaching job, you're a hot coordinator in the NFL now, you have to seriously think about, do I really want to put my career in the hands of this ownership group in Tennessee that's proven that they're impatient, that's proven that maybe they don't get it done? I seriously would contemplate passing up on that.
I agree. Lake, I appreciate your time, as always, on these Tuesdays. Enjoy your trip over to Madrid, Spain. Hopefully the rain kind of blows away, goes up to France or something, and you can enjoy a beautiful Spain trip.
Well, this is the first time, I think maybe second time ever, so Janine's going with me. So, that's going to make it better, because I have a better half with me, so we can go out and tour and do a bunch of different things, but it's supposed to rain.
I don't know if you're a wine drinker, but Spain's got some delicious vino.
After covering this team, you don't think I am?
You might have to go to the hard stuff real quick, though, after Sunday. Lake Lewis Jr., host of the Lake Lewis Jr. Show on YouTube. Our Raise and Hail Commanders insider as well joins us every single Tuesday to chat all things NFL. We always appreciate his time.